Greetings out there, YouTube land. It is time for another edition of the Russell Cage Experience, brought to you by YouTube. So that was... Anyway, this is the Russell Cage Experience Raw recap / review, and I was interested to kind of see how WWE followed up this week with their show, and I would have to say that the show last night was a roller coaster of good and bad throughout the entire show. But overall, it was a decent show, I have to say. And WWE still held on to the ball that they held going into this week. Let's get right to it. We have Stephanie McMahon coming out, and Y2J just basically gets in her face, and she fires Y2J. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm not sure if Vince will either take sides with Steph and have Jericho remain fired, or if he will be rehired by Vince next week. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not sure. I will say it did put an interesting twist on things last night for opening of the show. So Y2J fired from WWE, fired. That's the way I'll put it right now. Next up we have The Miz versus Rey Mysterio, and this was actually a pretty good match. As we all know, I'm a fan of The Miz and Rey Mysterio, both. I mean, not a big Rey fan, but I mean, I enjoy watching him wrestle. So this was a decent match. My roommate figured that Rey would lose the match because before we left for break, he'd seen Rey getting beat up and all this sort of stuff. So he was expecting Rey Mysterio to get beat. Rey Mysterio picks up the victory here. So after the match, Mike Knox tries to attack Rey again, and it kind of backfires on him, and we're continuing to see this Mike Knox Rey Mysterio thing going on. So kind of wanting Evan Bourne to get back and add him into the mix. I like Evan Bourne. The match after that is the Intercontinental title match, CM Punk versus William Regal, and here's where the roller coaster goes down. I do not like the ending once again to this, but next week we get, I guess third time's a charm, CM Punk versus William Regal next week in a no disqualification match. So we might not see as much wrestling as we would have in this match and last week's match. So that is the downfall to it. But I could be wrong. We could see some actual wrestling. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Then we have a segment where it's Cody Rhodes and Manu and Sim Snuka come up and basically tell Cody that either he's with them or against them. So kind of interesting to see what happens there, because they said they're going to go after Orton. See what happens. Big announcement: Stone Cold being inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. Very exciting. Not going to lie, I'm kind of shocked to see that he's getting inducted already. But it's good, because he is one of the few people that does deserve it. So glad to see Stone Cold being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And just to touch a little bit on the HBK and JBL segments throughout the night, it was hard for me to get into those segments because it seemed like the emotion was either down or something in those segments and whatever, and it kind of, no, I wouldn't say it hurt the storyline, but it didn't help it either. So yeah. Next up we have Kane versus Randy Orton. This is kind of where it went down for a little bit as far as the match goes. It was an okay match. It was an okay match. I will give it that. But the ending kind of threw me off. I read some things earlier today. I won't really elaborate on them. to say. But it does involve what happened with the referee match last night and all that. But after the match, I was expecting Kane to beat the referee up, and it cut away from that and went to Sim and Manu, who introduced the return of Ted DiBiase, and here's where the roller coaster goes back up. Glad to see Ted back, and at first it looked like it was going to be all four of them jumping Orton, but I kind of thought it was going to be Orton and Cody cleaning house on Manu, Ted, and Sim. Was my expectation, but what happened was even better, and it's going to be Cody, Ted, and Randy Orton as the Legacy stable now, and my friend Dylan and I were talking a little bit on the phone after that happened, and we'd be happy with just those three as the Legacy stable. So we'll have to see where it goes from here. I'm expecting maybe a Sim Manu versus Cody Ted feud type deal here, so we'll just have to wait and see. Tag team Diva match never happened, went to no contest. Rosa attacks Melina before the match again, and I thought that was kind of bad, I guess so to say. That's another point where the roller coaster went down. And the final match tonight, HBK with JBL versus John Cena. Now, the segments didn't help the storyline. This match did, and I will say that this match actually gets match of the night for me, even though it is a John Cena match. This was a good match, a good solid match for the night. The ending was good, not just for the fact that John Cena lost, but the fact that the way JBL got involved in the match per se. So the match itself was good. The outcome, I think it helped further this JBL Shawn Michaels storyline. The match itself, not so much the segments. Overall, this was a decent Raw. WWE held on to the ball this week and have kind of actually kept my interest. I'm interested to see what happens next week, not only with the JBL Shawn Michaels storyline, which I wasn't too big a fan of to begin with, but it's getting better, I will give it that. But also the Legacy stable, and to see what happens from there. I know I was watching a video on YouTube here earlier, and it was Nikolai Volkov being hired by Ted DiBiase back in, I guess, the early 90s maybe. So I was watching it, and it kind of reminded me of the JBL Shawn Michaels storyline that's going on right now. So WWE has kind of got my attention now. So we'll just have to see where it goes from there. I'm, like I said, glad to see Ted DiBiase back, and looking forward to seeing what goes on from there. So that's my recap. As I said before, match tonight goes to Shawn Michaels versus John Cena. WrestleMania return match tonight there. But overall, the show was a roller coaster ride of good and bad. So that is my recap slash review of Raw this past week. So hope you guys are doing great. If you have any questions for me, shoot them my way. I'm wanting to do a questions answer video, but I don't really have enough, I guess, material or whatever to elaborate on stuff. So hope you guys are having a great beginning of the week, and I will talk to you all later. You guys take it easy.